charms.
I never hit you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You ready to do this again?
Yeah.
Try not to sound too enthusiastic about it.
Did you start?
Yeah, I started.
Stop starting.
That's our thing. We start, and then we eventually just, like,
talk about the movie. Or
Yeah.
sometimes you just talk about Hayden Christensen for 20 minutes.
We did. We talked about Hayden Christensen for a very long time. This is going to be very weird, trying to...
Sum up this movie.
Well, I was just thinking, so we recorded an episode earlier today, but it comes out after this one. So, did we do a good enough job with our episode this morning, making it seem like it came out after this one, or that we recorded it after this one?
I think so. No, because you announced this one on the one we recorded today.
Right. I said, hey, don't forget about this thing that we're doing.
Yeah.
Welcome to Bad Movie Date Night, the only and best podcast with a husband and wife watching bad movies together and talking about them on their date night. I am Nigel from ajourneyintofilm.com, and with me, as always, is my wife, Kaitlyn.
Hello.
And we also have another guest this week. You may remember them from our Troll 2 episode. The one and only, Bailey.
Hello.
And we're pretty excited because this is the start of a reoccurring show. It's like a spin-off show, but like the same show. Called Bad Movie Date Night, Dating Edition.
Dating edition.
I don't know. What else do you want to call it?
Will I be dating anyone?
I don't know. It sounded better than Third Wheel Edition or like Singles Edition.
I'm okay being a third wheel. I'm always
Bad Movie Date Night,
Yeah,
Third Wheel Edition.
that's fine.
This episode's going to be available for free on our regular podcast stream. But if you want to hear all of the other episodes with Bailey, it's going to come out once a month. You're going to have to head over to Patreon and support us. Become a patron. You can spend $1, $2, $5.
What about $3?
You can spend $3, $100. You know why? Because we're not putting a price limit on this.
Okay. 50 cents?
You can't put a limit on my
Right.
editing.
If I donate
There
a
is
penny,
no...
can I listen to it?
There is no minimum dollar amount other than what Patreon enforces, which I don't know what it is. I'm honestly not
It's
on
probably
there enough.
$10.
And we're pretty excited because we recently found out that the state beverage of Ohio is tomato juice. It's a fact. Look it up. And we said, hey, what can we do with that?
Watch a terrible movie.
We can watch Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Boom. That's called a segue. The 1978 monster movie satire.
1978, really?
Right?
I thought
And
it
the
was
second one doesn't come out for like
80.
12 years or something after this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Pretty sure. Yeah, Return of the Killer Tomatoes is 1988. It's almost like...
It's almost like those years in between they thought, no, we're good. And then they were like,
Changed their mind.
But then they
Yeah.
met George Clooney and they said, you know what?
is he in the second one?
Yeah.
He is.
Oh, Lord.
So is John Aston, the father of Sean and Mackenzie Aston, who played Gomez on the original Addams Family TV show. It's pretty great.
It's amazing.
And after watching this one, I realized it doesn't make any sense.
The second one or the first one?
Yeah, well, okay, so in this one you find out that the press secretary...
What did we find out? Nothing. We found out nothing. I know nothing about this movie.
Especially since you didn't get to watch the last 5 minutes.
I'm good with that.
No, you find out that it's the press secretary who's been behind everything from the beginning. And he's like, haha, I control the tomatoes. But it's like, in the second one, they're like, oh, it's the scientist.
It was a scientist, yeah.
Yeah.
Are the two even related then?
The two Killer Tomatoes movies?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because
Oh, yeah, because that guy comes back, yeah.
Yeah. As you can tell, Kaitlyn and I have a lot of experience with these movies already. Bailey, this is her first time watching it. So go ahead and just share some thoughts with us.
First thought is I wasted an hour and a half of my life. Second thought, I honestly thought I was watching a Monty Python movie until I realized I wasn't.
I could get that.
It felt very Monty Python to me. I didn't understand any of it. I have no idea what happened. I laughed at 3 parts.
Do you remember what those 3 parts are?
When they were in the small room for the meeting.
Oh, yeah, they had to crawl over the table.
I don't remember what the other 2 parts were, but I just remember thinking, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Not enough to laugh, but they were funny.
Yeah, they were like...
To point out that they were funny.
They were like texting LOL, not IRL LOL.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the second movie first, so I saw Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Before I even watched Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. And Return of the Killer Tomatoes is 1,000,000 times better.
Yes. Return of the Killer Tomatoes does everything that this movie tried to do.
Uh-huh.
Because this movie, like I said, it was purposefully made to be bad. It's a satire of monster movies.
Mighty Python.
Yeah, but it's like... It's kind of like with Thanksgiving, how they tried too hard to make it bad, and it was ultimately bad.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think... I don't know if I didn't understand the humor. I don't know.
Sure.
I just don't know. There was a lot going on and also nothing going on. There were like 7 different stories in one story. Oh, I can remember a second time I laughed when the guy was dressed as the tomato.
Oh, that's my favorite part of the movie.
That was funny.
The master of disguise, he disguised himself as a tomato.
And then he says, "Do you guys have any ketchup?" And then he's found out.
Did they eat the people?
I think they were
do? What are they
eating the
attacking?
people.
Like, what? In what form were they attacking? Because they didn't have mouths. So what exactly were they doing?
They would roll over people and they would cut them with the knives.
Yeah, I think that was part of the humor, is that they would just, like, hit people, and that was, like, their attack.
Yeah. Well, how'd the lady die in the first scene? Remember she was in the kitchen?
She, like, didn't. They didn't show it.
It just rolled at her.
It just, yeah.
Here's a fun fact for you about this movie. The helicopter crash in the beginning of it was an accident.
And they just used it.
Yeah, the helicopter was supposed to land in the field, but it just crashed behind them, and they used it in the movie.
Were there people in it?
Yeah.
Did they survive? That's terrible.
The pilot survived. He was the only person flying it. But they said, oh, we can add some dialogue over this. So it says, we were hit by a kamikaze tomato. Tomatoes can't fly. Yeah, well, they can't eat people either, but they're doing one hell of a job at that.
Well, the one thing I didn't understand is that it's universally accepted that in movies, horror movies, not everyone believes the person. The person will be like, oh, there's a ghost, the house is haunted. Everyone's like, no, it's not, you're being ridiculous. In this movie, it was just accepted that
This is true.
tomatoes were attacking people. There was no question.
Yeah, this movie just kind of throws you right into it.
Yeah.
It really does. It throws you right into... They don't build up to it.
No.
Nothing.
And then the whole world is like, we're under attack by tomatoes.
Yeah, it's like you see the one woman, and then the next thing, the government's shooting at a field of killer tomatoes, and they're saying, we better cover this up before people find out.
Everyone knows.
Everyone knows. So, that being said, this is part 1 of our 4-part
There's 4?
Killer Tomatoes
Oh my gosh.
series.
I think you'll like number 2.
Yeah, number 2 is actually a good movie. That'll be interesting to talk about.
I never watched 3 and 4.
No.
Are they paper mache tomatoes like in this one?
In the second one,
Remember the little furry tomato?
yeah, FT.
FT.
In the second one, no. I don't want to spoil it for you because it's going to be nuts. But just from looking at pictures on IMDb, it looks like they have, like this is in the fourth one. So they have faces eventually.
They've been through so much that one is actually wearing an eye patch.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at this one. This one's got a little hat.
Oh, please don't.
Maybe we can even convince Bailey to watch the couple episodes of the TV show.
I want to watch the TV show.
I can see the look on your face saying, I regret agreeing to this.
I thought you were going to pick good bad movies.
This is a good bad movie. Like, what's a good bad movie for you?
Well, apparently The Meg.
Troll 2.
Troll 2 is a great bad movie.
I'd watch that over this.
Just wait till you watch Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Okay. Oh, should we talk about the plot?
What's the plot?
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't really know a cohesive way to talk about this movie.
This movie is loosely based on Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds.
Which, okay, is a great movie.
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
No one's disagreeing with that.
Loosely is a loose term.
I didn't know that.
It's a joke from the beginning.
Oh,
There's like a thing that says, like, the movie opens and it's like... The Birds came out in 1963, and everybody laughed at birds killing people. And then it actually happened, and now...
What?
No one's laughing.
Did it actually happen?
I don't think so.
Oh.
We should make a mental note to Google that. I'll look at it later. So, you know, we talked about the helicopter crashing. We talked about the firing into the fields. We meet our protagonist, Mason Dixon. Give you an idea of the fun naming conventions.
Where did
in
this
movie.
take place?
The whole world. The whole United States.
Interesting.
Probably near D.C.
Oh, I thought California.
Maybe it's in California. Where do they grow lots of tomatoes?
I don't know.
Ohio.
Home of the tomato cheese.
That's true. We could say that this takes place in Ohio. Do you remember when the man dies from drinking the tomato juice?
Yeah.
And then there's like the one where the tomatoes take down the boat. Okay, so basically you got Mason Dixon, who's like hired by the government, the Pentagon or whoever, to put together a team to stop the tomato menace. They also have Jim Richardson, the president's press secretary, and he's like, my job's to make sure that nobody knows that there's a tomato thing going on. Anytime he talks to the president's using his pen to, like,
I don't
sign
understand. I didn't understand that.
And so here are the members of the team. You have Sam Smith, who's the disguise expert. You have Gray Colburn, who's a scuba diver.
What does a scuba diver bring to the table?
We'll get there. Greta Attenbaum, the Olympic swimmer, who is seen on several occasions taking steroids, which is kind of funny. And Wilbur Finletter, who parachutes in and drags his parachute around for the entire movie. And
That had to be so annoying.
oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
He reminded me the most of Monty Python.
Just being so silly, running around with the thingy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Good news. He comes back.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he comes back, and who else?
The second one and the third one.
No, who else comes back? Another guy. I think it's... Oh, the scuba diver. Scuba diver comes back, too, in the second one.
in The Disguise Guy, but he's
In The
played by
Disguise
somebody
Guy.
else.
Yeah.
So this is what you have to look forward to. So the Disguise Guy we talked about, he goes and hangs out with the tomatoes. He puts on a giant tomato outfit. And
We interrupt this podcast. Commercial break.
To figure out the plot of this movie.
Yeah, I don't remember like anything.
I know. It's so hard to have a plot of this movie because it was all over the place.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what I remember. I remember Finletter hangs out with Mason Dixon, and there's that reporter, Lois.
Oh, that girl
The
who's on meth?
crackhead.
Yeah, the girl that looks like she's on meth.
Oh my gosh.
Is she dead in real life?
I don't know. Let's find out.
real
Because
quick.
she probably
She
OD'd.
looked very unhealthy.
She does not appear to have a IMDb page.
So she's dead.
She made it big.
I'll Google her real quick. Yeah, but they hang out. She's like, her boss is like, oh, you need to figure out what's going on with this tomato thing. And the press secretary is, he goes to hire this guy to like run an ad campaign to say that there's like no tomato thing going on. Let's see. Apparently there's 2 Sharon Taylors.
What year did this movie come out?
1978.
Oh, so people weren't that old.
No, I can't find it.
Oh, no, they'd be pretty old.
Now they would be.
So that girl's dead.
She's
Let's
dead.
just say that she's dead.
If you're out there, Sharon, whoever,
Taylor. Give us a phone call.
caller so that we know.
you're okay.
Yeah.
Didn't die from meth.
There's a pretty funny scene where Lois meets someone named Clark.
I could not tell you a single person's name in this movie. could
I
not.
remember Finletter, Lois, and Mason Dixon.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you anyone's name.
Yeah. At one point, there's like a masked guy who starts shooting at people.
I don't even understand where that came from.
But I think that turns out to be the press secretary because he's trying to stop Mason Dixon from stopping the tomatoes.
Yeah, why does he want the tomatoes to win? I never understood that either.
Because he wants to be president, but I guess there's like a really long line of succession before the press secretary becomes president.
So he wants everyone to die so that he can be president
Via-
of nobody?
Of nobody.
Via the Tomato Menace.
Okay.
I
That
didn't
seems like a poor
understand
plan.
the car dealership guy. I didn't understand.
The car dealership guy was the one who was making all the ads that were like, there's no tomato thing happening.
Why was he that way?
Why was he the way that he was?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Why did he break into song at one point?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this movie is notable because it's also our first musical.
One song doesn't make it a musical.
Yeah, it's basically a musical at that point.
It's one too many, I'll tell you that.
Finletter thinks that Lois is a spy.
Because she is.
In a way, she kind of is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he tries to
Essentially,
attack
a journalist
her.
is a spy.
Right.
Yeah, actually, you're not wrong. What are some other things that you guys remember from this movie?
I remember the end.
I don't understand why that song.
Puberty
made them- Why, yeah.
Puberty.
Because they were becoming adult tomatoes, and it made them go back to baby tomatoes.
But I don't really understand why.
Yeah, I don't understand why that song did that. I don't understand why people were dressed the way they were in the last...
Yeah, that was weird.
The guy was dressed as a pickle or something. What was he dressed as? A chicken?
When?
At the end, when they all were wearing costumes and
Oh,
jumping
that
on
was weird.
tomatoes.
I don't understand.
That was like maybe, were they like a super team?
No, there's thousands of people.
And
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I feel that taking down a tomato would not be that difficult.
But what
Granted,
if it
some
was
of them
like-
were giant.
Yeah.
You literally just sneak up behind it and take a sledgehammer to it, and it's dead.
Yeah, but what if it's like a quick moving tomato?
They
Just,
roll.
like,
How
ducks out of
fast
the
could
way.
they be?
I don't know. They took down a helicopter.
There are more flaws than there are non-flaws in this movie.
Yeah, this movie doesn't make any sense. There was something else that I remembered. Oh, you remember when Mason Dixon said, "Hey, go to this sector and tell Greta to look out for tomato activity," and the tomatoes kill her, and he finds her and he says, "Hey, there's tomato activity in your area,"
That was
and then he just
funny.
walks away.
That was the other part I laughed at. She was dead. She was useless. She was a Olympic swimmer or something.
Yeah. I don't know why they needed an Olympic swimmer and a scuba diver.
That seems excessive.
Yeah, what do they think? This is like water tomatoes?
Right.
They were in the water.
They were. And they played the Jaws theme whenever they killed him.
It was pretty funny.
What else?
This movie was a mess.
This movie was a mess, and this podcast is turning into a mess. Good job, guys.
Here's the real question. Are tomatoes fruits or vegetables?
They call them a fruit at one point.
Yes.
Well, they're a vegetable.
I think they should be vegetables.
For sure.
Vegetables.
Oh, no, I remember the joke now. They were like, "We gotta stop these vegetables." And the guy's like, "Well, actually, they're a fruit." And everybody, like, yells at him.
It'd be funny if they threw tomatoes at him.
That would be funny.
I didn't understand the Asian guy who couldn't
Oh, that was funny.
keep up with his words.
That was funny. That's like a reference to the Godzilla, old Godzilla movies, right?
Yeah, whenever they would have, like, the Japanese actors and the dubbed over in English. Mm-hmm. So, like, the Asian guy's talking, but his words don't match up because someone else is doing his voice.
That was funny.
There were a lot of, individually funny things that happened, but collectively, it is just kind of a boring mess.
It's not boring.
I was bored.
Like, whenever I say there are individual funny things, it's kind of like if SNL were to make a movie.
Yeah.
Where it's, like, different skits.
What else came out that year? What other movies?
What movies came out in 1978?
Yeah, was it just a rough year for movies? Or was this just a big failure?
Grease,
Okay.
Superman,
Okay.
Animal House, Jaws 2, Halloween.
That was a good year for movies.
That was a pretty good year for
pretty
movies.
solid year.
Let's see. The best picture was The Deer Hunter.
Yeah, see, so this movie just didn't
Midnight
make
Express.
the cut for me.
Let's see if this movie is even mentioned on this page at all. Let's see. I'm in May. Looking at release. Ooh, The Omen 2. The Cat from Outer Space.
Well, that made the list.
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
That's hilarious. What is that?
It's a movie based off of the Beatles album.
Oh, never mind.
It's actually a pretty good movie. It's got Alice Cooper in it.
Oh, hard pass.
And Steve Martin.
Interesting duo.
Oh, look. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. October 20th, 1978. Watership Down.
What were they... So, what was their goal in making this movie?
In making this movie, they were
Yes.
trying to spoof, like, all of the giant monster movies.
I think they succeeded.
But,
Right.
like, it
Give me
wasn't
examples of how they tried to spoof.
by having giant tomatoes attack people.
And so, like, those were obviously supposed to be the monsters.
Right.
But what else did they do? Like, I think about the scene where that one guy was getting a drink from the drinking fountain and the other guy had chemicals in his eye. And he was like, move, I have chemicals
I
in
don't think there's, like, a 1-for-1.
Then what? So their
Like-
ideas were half this would be funny and half
I think...
let's spoof movies?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
I think it was more, hey, we're going to make a funny giant monster movie in the same vein as, like, The Naked Gun or
I
something
think
like
it
that.
had potential to be a good monster spoof movie. However, the way they went about some things was just too much.
It was like it was too random and nothing really connected to
I
each
didn't
other.
feel a connection with anything.
No.
And then at the end, you, like, just don't care.
I didn't care one bit.
See, we should have watched Return of the Killer Tomatoes and compared the two. Because they are so vastly different.
Well, we can compare it next week. That'll be a good way to, like, next week, next month.
Yeah, but I feel like it's a good... Because I keep thinking about how well the second movie did everything.
Yeah.
I will be the judge of that.
No, it's actually pretty funny. There's a joke at one point that they, like, run out of money to make the movie.
So they have
And
to start advertising.
George Clooney's like, oh, that's easy. We'll just do advertising. And all of a sudden, in the rest of the movie, they have, like, Pepsi signs everywhere.
That's funny.
What's something else that's really funny?
I mean, there's so much that's
I don't
funny.
really want to spoil too much in the second one.
I mean, George Clooney's in it, so I'll watch it.
Well, you're doing this podcast with us, so you'll watch
I
it.
know.
You watch all 4 of them. Where could the plot go from here, though? I mean, literally, the second one is just like, hey, let's remake the first one and do a better job. That's what I consider a second
Well, it's not
one.
like they got rid of all the tomatoes, right?
They did. Because, in the second one, they're like, oh, they've been dormant for years. My pops fought in the Great Tomato War of 78. And then, they come back. The scientist finds a way to make them come back.
Yeah.
Is the scientist the Secretary of State gone mad?
What?
From the first one. The Secretary of State?
No, because that's Dr. Gangrene.
Oh.
And this guy's name... Oh, this guy shoots himself, doesn't he?
Oh. I don't remember that.
Oh, no, Finletter kills him with a sword. That's right. He runs in, right as he's about to reveal his plan. And then he's like... dead.
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
This
we were...
movie was very memorable.
It was very memorable. We nailed this one.
I just don't understand. I don't understand
The movie?
the movie. I don't understand the movie.
What's not to understand about it? You got Killer Tomatoes.
But there were 7 different plots in one movie about killer tomatoes.
There was the reporter who was trying... What was her goal?
Well, so the government was covering up the whole tomato thing, and she was trying to get to the bottom of it.
So, okay, that was Meth Lady's goal.
There was a guy chasing another guy for what reason?
Oh, yeah, and that, really slow car chase.
Yeah, what was that? What was that?
I don't even have an answer for you.
What was the parachute guy
Finletter.
and the Master of Disguise? What were their goals?
To stop the tomato menace.
Was the parachute
Who hired
guy-
them?
The president.
But I thought the government was covering it up.
The press secretary was covering it up.
But the president wasn't.
Right. Well,
Okay.
okay, I think the government's official position was there is no tomato epidemic.
Okay.
But behind the scenes, they were saying, hey, let's kill all these tomatoes.
You think
Okay.
there's something the government's covering up now like that? Like in real life?
Yeah, the coronavirus.
That's not covered up. That's it. That's...
Yeah, but they're covering up how many there are. There's probably dozens, if not hundreds of people in the United States with the virus.
Oh, I'm sure, but it's not going to kill us.
No, it's basically
More
super
people
flu.
die from the flu.
I heard coronavirus was like super flu, though.
I heard. Well, it's
like
like a head
having a
cold,
hangover.
though.
Is it
Oh.
really?
Yeah, it's like a head cold. It's not even like throwing up.
Oh, that's horrible. That's a
I'd
bad
rather
way
have a
to
head
go.
cold than throwing up.
Yeah, but if you had to die over it, I wouldn't.
You don't even die. Only like 2% of people that have it are dying.
Well, see,
It's
the
not a
government
big
makes a big
deal.
scare about
It's
it.
not even a big deal.
And we've been canceled.
Government has shut us down.
I'm just saying, I'm sure they're hiding something.
Yeah, like aliens.
I just don't know if I believe in aliens or not. I really don't know. Do you believe in aliens?
We should probably get really deep into this. Maybe.
Do you believe in aliens?
I think no.
I don't know what to believe.
It wouldn't surprise me, but
I
I'm
think
just
it's
gonna say no.
more believable than killer tomatoes. But I'm not sure what I believe.
You're not sure if you believe in killer tomatoes?
Well, with how many hormones the government's put in our foods, then...
So they're just not sentient
killer
tomatoes. They're just poisonous killer tomatoes.
Yeah.
I don't believe in Bigfoot.
No.
The Canadians or someone just found Bigfoot.
I truly, truly believe there's a secret society out there where people dress up as Bigfoot and go in the woods just to like think people see sightings of him.
Did you watch that movie with Michael Shannon and Christina Hendricks and Judy Greer called Pottersville?
Mm-mm.
He like gets drunk one night, Michael Shannon, and dresses up like a monkey and goes running through the town.
People think it's Bigfoot.
Everybody thinks it's Bigfoot, and then like it like blows up, and they bring in this like monster hunter, and he is like, "We're gonna find Bigfoot, gang!" And
that's funny.
It's actually a really funny movie. We should watch it.
I would also be safe because I don't keep tomatoes in my house. I don't like them.
Good point.
I'd feel pretty safe.
What happens to tomato sauce? Nothing?
No, tomatoes. Well, the one guy, he gets killed because he's drinking the tomato juice.
Yeah, tomato juice, but we never see tomato sauce.
Yeah, but like I would imagine it's the same thing.
Same thing.
Spaghetti.
Oh, that would be
Plus,
bad.
it's not like they could get through doors. So, if you're logistically, if this were to happen,
just lock your door.
You would be fine.
Just don't have tomatoes on hand and lock your door.
Right. Yeah, they can't get in the house unless
they come through your pipes.
Or break through the window.
Which is basically suicide for a tomato because it would just squish them.
Well, you saw how, like, those two police officers, they were driving in the car and all the tomatoes were throwing themselves at them and it was splatting everywhere.
Mm-hmm. It's so flawed, I can't. I'm very disappointed.
At least in the second one, they are, like, genetically mutated tomatoes that, like...
look like people.
Yeah.
How many tomatoes are in the second one? Like,
I mean, just...
Do people voice them?
The tomatoes? Mm-hmm. In this one?
The second one.
You're gonna kind of have to just see it to understand it.
Okay. So excited.
So, this is an objectively bad movie. Because we have said so many things about it.
Is it? Yeah, it's rough.
I'm trying to think of
Was it well received?
No. This movie, nobody really got it whenever it came out.
Right.
We're still not getting it. Was it in theaters?
Yeah.
Wow.
This, according to this, it says Variety wrote that the film isn't even worthy of sarcasm.
Oh.
Someone gave the movie 2 out of 5 stars.
That's a high score.
You know, I would be willing to watch the new Cats movie for this podcast. I'd be willing.
We should definitely make that an episode that we do with Bailey.
Yeah.
I would be willing.
Cats.
You know what we should do? We should get a list of movies, make a Patreon poll, and say, hey, vote on which movies...
Vote on which movies we have to suffer through.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's great.
Yeah.
We can put Cats on there. We could put...
Grease 2.
We could put Grease 2 on there. What else could we put on there?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. See,
literally any bad 80s movie.
Yeah, this is also true.
There's lots of them.
Arguably, Attack of the Killer Clowns was 100% better than this.
Yes. Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not even a contest.
Where does Little Italy fall?
Well, the first 40 minutes that I watched, I'd watch that over this. But Killer Clowns would be first.
Yeah. I'd watch Killer Clowns again.
Yeah, I would too. I'd watch Little Italy a lot, probably.
What? A lot?
There's just something so comedic about
Hayden Christensen
doing a Little Italy accent.
It's really unfortunate.
It's bad.
I just thought he was the bee's knees when he was Anakin.
Of course.
He was the bee's knees. And this movie just took that away from me.
Yeah, he was...
I didn't even watch the full thing. But then I said, how was the movie? I asked Mom, and she's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. She told me about it. And I was like, yep, that's pretty much what I guessed.
If you had to guess what it was rated, what would you guess?
PG-13.
It is rated R.
Rated R? For what?
For some sexual references. I'm pretty sure it's because of the Kama Sutra bar that they go to.
But you don't even see anything.
Did they say any of the F word?
Nope.
No.
Wow.
There is zero language in that movie.
Well, was it Canadian rating?
I don't know what its Canadian rating was.
Or what was it? Or is that what it was based in Canada? Did it come out in Canada?
I don't know if it came out. So that movie was released in theaters, and almost at the same time they said, you know what, let's just go ahead and release this on demand.
Ooh, that's unfortunate.
Probably a good move.
Yeah, for them, not for the actors.
No, they're fine.
Direct to DVD.
Yeah, Emma Roberts has had a pretty decent career, and meanwhile Hayden Christensen's like, I was in 3 good movies.
Yeah.
Do you want to watch the Hayden Christensen Nicolas Cage movie with us?
I would love nothing more.
Oh.
That's what this movie was missing.
Hayden
Nicolas Cage.
Christensen?
No, Nicolas Cage.
You know who was in this movie, though?
Who?
Dana Ashbrook from Twin Peaks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Grew up to play Bobby Briggs.
Another thing I don't understand. I enjoyed it, though. It was enjoyable. Just don't understand what happened.
Twin Peaks?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was still good.
Yeah, it was still good. This wasn't even good.
No, this was not. You know what? I like how misleading this movie poster is. Like, you think, like, oh, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
See, that would make me want to watch it.
Yeah.
But instead it's just giant tomatoes on, like, skateboards sliding at
Paper
people.
mache tomatoes.
I know. We should have made one for this podcast. And then we could, like, hang out with it.
I want to buy one of the furry tomatoes.
Yes. Here's a question for you. So the guy who disguises himself dresses up like Hitler at one point, but he's a black guy. Is that offensive?
I think it's funny. It's like
That did not make sense. Why did he do that?
I don't know, but
I don't
that's
remember.
funny.
But at one point, Finletter's like, oh, we're going to attack you.
That's so funny.
What about whenever these little things would come across the bottom of the screen?
I don't understand.
Great deals, great prices. Look at these specials. Sofas.
Were they like selling stuff from the scene?
I don't really know. This is funny.
That was funny. That was funny.
That was funny. When he dresses up like a tomato. What was his plan?
I think he was supposed to gather intelligence on the tomato.
But it's not like they could understand the tomatoes.
But at like one point he says like, so are you planning any like tomato attacks or something like that? Doesn't he say something like that?
Yeah, I think he does, yeah.
And then the one tomato somehow has earmuffs on so he can't hear the puberty love song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How did that tomato get earmuffs on?
They don't have arms.
That's a great question.
Do they have ears?
They don't have... Well, they
they
have
have to
ears.
if they can
Right.
hear the song.
But how? Tomatoes don't have ears.
See, birds make sense, because birds have ears.
Yeah.
They have wings. They
Yeah.
have legs. Birds make sense.
They could literally peck
Tomatoes-
you to death.
That's
They
what they
could peck
did.
you to death.
They pecked you to death.
Yeah.
And tomatoes, oh man, that'd be a funny Halloween costume. Have you seen that Birds costume where you're dressed as the lady from the Birds and then you have a bunch of crows like glued to you?
No, but that
That
would
would be
be
funny
amazing.
with tomatoes.
That would be funny
That'd
with
be
tomatoes.
a good Halloween costume.
I should do that.
You should.
Or I should just dress up like a giant tomato and just...
Oh, you should dress up like the black guy did.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, do that.
Dress up like
We
a tomato.
could each pick a character from...
I'm gonna be the meth girl.
That's fine. You're not tall enough, though.
Yeah, she was tall.
She was uncomfortably skinny and tall.
Ugh, it was gross. Didn't
Meth
like
will
it.
do that to you.
Meth, that's what meth does.
All right, so here's the real question. I feel like we've touched on all of our complaints about this movie.
Okay. What does this movie do well?
That is a good question. What does it do well?
I don't know. Nothing? It's funny sometimes.
Yeah, I thought some of the humor was good.
Okay.
That's about it.
That's all you got? Here's another here's something interesting. Sharon Taylor was not in any movies after this.
That's understandable.
All right. Pitch me, both of you, how would you improve this movie?
Oh, boy.
I'd get rid of the tomatoes completely.
Okay. So Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, sans tomatoes.
All right, we can keep the tomatoes, but I would get rid of all the extra stuff that was going on. And I think you need to do a better job of collectively coming together to get rid of the tomatoes without all the extra stuff that was added in this movie.
Yeah. The second one does it so much better.
Okay, but how would you
Kaitlyn,
improve this one without doing the
one.
second one?
But I just
get
we
it
all
out
know
of
that
your
the
mind.
second one is great.
It's perfect.
Wow.
Okay. I think you could make it where the tomatoes don't actually, like, kill people, because that doesn't even make sense. But you could make it where, like, if they eat tomatoes, they turn into a, like, tomato-y person, where they start, like, growing tomato plants from their body. That would be a scary movie. It would be a scary movie.
This sounds like an episode of Goosebumps.
Yeah.
That episode
Tomato,
that
tomato.
scared me, where the guy was
Exactly,
growing
scary.
things in his basement.
Oh, and he was, like, growing plants.
Yeah, that
plants.
episode terrified me.
Yeah, so these people start turning into tomato plants.
The all scary tomato plant.
What is it with you and your plots
She
with
takes
people
things
turning
really
into things
far.
recently?
Well, because I think that's scary to turn into something.
A tomato plant?
Yes, you would die, but, like, you'd still be alive. It would be like in Troll 2, where that person turned into that plant.
There's a lot of turning into plants.
Yeah, because it's a scary thing. Think about it. Or you could do it like, what's that movie called? Feed Me, Seymour?
Little Shop of Horrors?
Little Shop of Horrors. You could do it like that, where the tomato becomes like a giant, like, man-eating plant, goes around town eating people.
Oh, you mean like the cartoon cover of this movie that
Right, which would make more sense.
Yeah.
I think it would just be, in general, more scary if tomatoes were killing people from the inside. Like, you eat them and then...
That's what I'm
dead.
saying. Then you turn into...
No, you don't turn into anything. You just die. You just fall over and die.
No, because that's an easy fix. Then just don't eat tomatoes. But now we have people turning into tomato plants.
But that's
Well, what
also
if
an
the
easy fix.
tomatoes-
Just don't eat tomatoes.
What if the tomatoes are infecting the other food? They're, like,
Oh.
turning them to their side. So, like, they go up to the potatoes and they're like, yo. And then they go up to the grapes and they're like, yo.
Yeah.
Is this like Sausage Party? Did you just combine the plot of Sausage Party with Attack of the Killer
I
Tomatoes?
It would
think-
still be a better movie.
Kaitlyn and I would make terrible movies and should not be in the world of Hollywood.
No, I think we'd make great movies. That would make a lot of money because they were bad. And
I think
people
if we
watch them.
stuck with good movies,
This is-
how could you make this better?
yeah, what would you do?
Oh, I wouldn't change a thing.
Okay.
This movie's perfect.
No, it's
Alright.
not. What would you do?
I like the idea of a tomato with a face.
Yeah.
Something that it can like chomp down on some people. Maybe some green vines.
That like
Ooh,
can-
that could like strangle a person.
Yeah, like
you
in
have some
this.
very dark thoughts, and it concerns me at times.
That would be good.
This is why you have dreams of killing people.
Wow, we're just gonna get all this out there.
Let's just turn
On
this
the public
into
record.
psychology hour.
Kaitlyn, what is the psychology of a killer tomato?
Wait, I had a question about the killer. Oh, do you think this could have been a better movie if it was made in a cartoon? format.
Well, I feel like if they could be more imaginative with a cartoon, so they could give it like a face. They could also, like, all of the weird random stuff would almost also make sense. Because I feel like you're just more forgiving with a cartoon than you are real life.
What if it was like little babies, like not babies,
Oh, Lord.
but like toddlers, and they were all playing, and like their mom's like, you need to eat your fruits and vegetables, and then they're like, no, we hate tomatoes, Mom, and then they like throw tomatoes at her, and then the mom like puts them all in timeout, and then they like come up with this like killer tomato story, and they learn to love their fruits and vegetables at the end of the movie.
I really have nothing to say.
I am trying to bridge the gap between they threw tomatoes at their mom and they learned to love their vegetables.
You know, they go on an adventure with a tomato, and the tomato tells them why it's good to eat them.
So the tomato is real?
In their imagination.
So they're just chilling with a tomato?
Yeah.
Like they're just
Who
talking.
was your babysitter when you were a child?
Myself.
Yeah, clearly.
I think it's a good idea. It could be a cartoon.
I'm concerned.
I
If
like
anything,
how
this podcast brings out my concern for Kaitlyn's well-being.
I like how the tagline for this is a new musical comedy horror show.
What?
There's one song in it.
Who wrote this? This is...
I think they
appalled.
wanted it to be something else.
Costa, Dillon, Steve Peace, and John Bello.
I am upset with that tagline.
Do you think they wanted it to be something else and it all got, like, edited out?
They had millions of songs and just they couldn't make it work.
Just one.
So they got rid of them, but didn't change the tagline before the movie was out.
I think that could happen.
It's more likely than coming up with a stupid tagline for a stupid movie. I am upset.
Do you remember when people in this movie were so terrified of tomatoes that guy says it in a library and they all run out screaming? Tomato.
Oh, yeah.
Was that racist? No, I'm serious. Was that like because he was like Indian or something?
That was like way before
Racism was a thing.
something like that.
I feel like that was like racism towards terrorism or something.
They didn't have terrorism back then.
In the 70s, yeah, they did.
I mean, like, not the same way that we have it today.
Well, then there's some conspiracy going on because they predicted it.
Yeah.
A man whispers tomato in
That
the
is
library.
literally the
causing
definition
panic.
of terrorism.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I thought that was racist.
All right, so now we need to ask the question.
Is this movie racist?
I
Is
think it
Attack of the Killer
100%
Tomatoes
is.
a secret masterpiece?
No. There's no secret. It was terrible.
It's a masterpiece then.
But it's a bummer because it sounds like one of those movies that you want, one of those bad movies that you want to like.
Yeah.
You know, when people are like, oh, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, oh, The Birds.
No, I remember I bought this movie for Kaitlyn for Christmas one year, and I said, hey, let's watch this, and we both were disappointed.
Like, you want it to be a good, bad
'Cause you
movie, but it was
can't.
bad. It was just bad.
After the first, or after watching
If
the
you
second
mention
one
the second
first,
one one more time,
it was so much better. It was so much better.
It is. We should watch that instead of the Super Bowl.
Where are we gonna watch it?
I'm a big, Dad's not going to watch it.
That was funny.
It was.
Funniest joke of the episode.
For people that don't understand our
Yeah.
father.
For people that don't understand, he says, I can take it or leave it to football, and then gets mad when he can't watch football.
True that.
Gets very into it.
He does. He does. Do you want to close this out by singing the Return of the
No,
Killer
but you
Tomato
should play
song?
that on here. Turn of the Killer Tomato.
I will next week, next month.
Turn of the Killer Tomato. This is the wrong song though. The first one is just like Attack.
Yeah. But then, so for the next episode.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Yeah, get it for the next episode.
Okay. I will do what I can.
Alright.
Let's see. There was a video game developed. There was a comic book.
They made a lot of money off merchandising for this.
You know?
Which is unfortunate, really.
It's kind of funny that, like, this, like, took off.
See, it's supposed to be a good bad movie, but it's not.
Yeah. Because that's what happens when you set out to purposefully make a bad movie.
Yeah.
Is it turns out bad.
Like Thanksgiving.
Yeah, like Thanksgiving is a bad movie.
Yeah.
Even though they were purposefully trying to make a bad movie.
Yeah. This is true. I hate that movie. I would rather watch this movie on repeat than have to watch Thanksgiving again.
Yeah. All right. Do you guys have any final things to add to this episode? To our talks about Attack of the Killer Tomato.
You should watch it.
You should not watch it.
You should watch it. It's on
No.
Prime.
Watch it.
That's like basically no reason to not watch it.
No, we're gonna just agree to disagree on this one.
Yeah. Where are we going to put it on our bad movie date night ranking list?
Last. Well, I don't get to vote.
You do get to vote.
I didn't see half of those.
I think it should be Under the Garbage Pail Kids.
You'd put it that high?
Yeah.
I was thinking Under the Meg.
No! I would not watch The Meg before this movie.
Are
I
you
would.
kidding me? Oh my gosh.
What's so far down? You would watch Holiday in Handcuffs?
1,000 times over this movie.
Yeah,
My
honestly,
Future Boyfriend?
Yeah, I would watch that again over this.
Nigel, My Future Boyfriend was so bad.
It was bad.
Ugh, alright. 2
Okay.
out of 3, you guys win.
2 out of 3, put it
Yeah.
below the Meg.
Ugh, I can't even. Yes.
That's fine. We'll put Return of the Killer Tomatoes higher because it's the better of the movies.
Okay.
I am appalled right now.
Maybe we should make a second list for all of our spin-off episodes.
Maybe you guys should watch The Meg again and appreciate it more.
We watched it twice for that podcast, and I hated it more every time I watched it.
I don't
Maybe
know
if they
why.
wore less hats,
Kaitlyn, oh my gosh.
it would be so much
I'm going to
better.
start a podcast called All the Reasons Kaitlyn is Wrong. Reason number 1. Hats are okay.
Yeah, but not that many in a movie.
It wasn't that many. We're watching it and I am counting.
Count them.
I will count.
It was
each-
like 20 some hats?
Oh,
There was at least one hat
Per scene.
per scene / per take,
person. I think every person wore a hat.
basically.
At one point, the shark was wearing a hat. It was too much.
Well, now that I'm upset.
This is amazing. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Journey into Film. You can... Don't forget to subscribe to our regular podcast feed. And if you want to listen to every episode of Bad Movie Date Night, Third Wheel / Dating / Singles Edition, do not forget to join us on Patreon by becoming a patron, and you can listen to all of them once a month over the next several months until one of us gets tired of this.
Until one of us isn't single anymore.
And then we'll have to change the name of it again. Really, we should just call it Bad Movie Date Night, the spin-off.
Bailey edition.
With Bailey.
Longest time ever.
We need an excuse to make t-shirts again, so... Do you want to say anything else?
I really have nothing else to say.
I'm
Okay.
super excited for the next one.
Yeah. We are both very excited for the next one.
You are the only two in this room that are excited for it.
Just you wait.
Oh, yeah. All right. And we will talk to you guys next week with Little Italy.
Bye.